Thank you.
And Alicia as well.
Wow, okay, good.
All right, folks, I think we're getting ready to go live here in a second.
Okay. Just give me a thumbs up or something. I'll start the intro. Thank you.
Yeah, Lee.
All yours.
All right. Good evening, everyone. On behalf of the City Havre de Grace Youth Commission, Mayor Bill Martin, City Council, and the city staff, we want to welcome you to our first Youth Town Hall. The purpose of tonight's Town Hall is to give the youth of Havre de Grace an opportunity to learn about how their local government works, what motivated their elected officials to serve, and to provide insight on how young people in our community can become more involved. The Havre de Grace Youth Commission was formed in 2018 with the purpose to foster civic duty, volunteerism, and the importance of public service to the youth of Havre de Grace through education, partnerships, and collaborative efforts. The current commission is comprised of 4 adult members: myself, Tracy Robertson, Dina Cardwell, William Howard Jr., and Alicia Henson. The student members are currently Sarah Good and Tanaya Scott. The commission is also supported by Associate Member Robin Scott and City Council Liaison Councilman Jason Robertson. We will begin tonight's Town Hall with a short film by Mayor Bill Martin.
Hello, everyone. This is Mayor William T. Martin, Mayor of City Havre de Grace. Day in the life of the mayor. Well, I get up early in the morning and I come down to City Hall, usually around 8 o'clock, or probably earlier, 7:30, 8 o'clock. And I'll meet with my chief of staff and my director of administration, and we'll go over today's agenda, the things that are going to be done around the city or planning to be done around the city. And we just go ahead and sign off on it and say, okay, this sounds good. If there's anything that needs to be addressed, we talk about that day so it can be addressed. Often we'll bring some emails to the meeting. If there's any citizen concerns that need addressed right away, I'll make sure the appropriate department head takes care of that concern from a citizen. And then, I meet with my executive assistant, or I'll meet with my marketing strategist, or I'll meet with my director of public works, or my finance director. Did I think I was going to be a politician when I was young? The answer to that is absolutely not. When I was young, I couldn't stand politics or politicians. And then you get older, I was 34 years old when I ran for council. At that time, I had 3 kids. I lived in the community. I paid taxes. I started thinking about what, possibly could make Havre de Grace a better place. And my love and passion for American history and American government, because I teach it, I threw my name in the hat in 2008, and I won a seat on the council. Prior to that, I never thought I'd be in politics. And I really believe, the viewer, those who listen to me right now, you don't know what's going to happen. I know people who were young who said they were going to be president of the United States, and then when he became 20 years old, said, forget it, I hate politics. And I knew people like myself that never liked politics, but they saw how they could help the community in a different way, and they ran. So greatest challenges I faced since being elected mayor has always been communication with the public. I find that if the public understands the mission and the purpose of the things that the administration is doing, or the things that need to be done for the city, they tend to understand better, and they'll even assist trying to get things done. Communication is always key. Without communication, then there's a void. There's that disconnect between what needs to get done and what people perceive as either being done or not being done. I'd like to think that the city of Havre de Grace in the last 5.5 years has changed for the better. We try really hard to make Havre de Grace a 21st century city. And what do I mean by that? 21st century city is a city that is very responsible with technology, responsible to the environment. We are a city by the Chesapeake Bay. We try to be good stewards of Chesapeake Bay. We have green teams. We use alternative energy for electricity for our city infrastructure and buildings. But also a 21st century city is a city that is very accepting of everybody. I often say Havre de Grace is the free city. I want Havre de Grace to be a city where everyone feels like they belong to the city, and that this is the place they want to live and raise their families. The most important characteristic in municipal government that makes leaders stand out never be afraid to take the lead on a situation. When hiring department heads for the 6 charter departments in the city, which would be the chief of police, director of DPW, planning director, director of finance, director of administration, and director of economic development. Those are all charter required that I have a director to lead them, and they all have a contract with the city. When appointing people to those positions, one, I look for someone who's highly qualified in that area. I always believe that the more education someone has in the field in which they work in, the more success they'll bring. But as far as leadership abilities, or especially characteristics, I'm always looking for someone that puts Havre de Grace first. Not looking for someone who's trying to just pad their resume or build their career up and then move on somewhere else. I want someone who comes to the city and I feel that they love the city of Havre de Grace and they want Havre de Grace to succeed and citizens to be happy. And I think that makes a great department head. And that's the characteristics I look for when choosing that person to lead that department. I would tell you, any young person that's considering a career in government or government management, I would say to get a really good idea of what you're going to get into, start off volunteering locally first. That could be helping out at your local church, at a youth commission. It could also be just volunteering for like a nonprofit. Boys and Girls Club's a nonprofit. Or there's food pantries that help people that need that are in need of food weekly, help out, pass things out, lend a hand. And when you take that knowledge of what the community needs are specifically, and then you enter government, you have a lot better idea of how government can assist those in the community. Whether you're looking for a job with the government in which you serve the community, or you're looking to be an elected official. Starting off locally and volunteering first, I think is a crucial step into really understanding, what makes everything gel together between the community and local government. My approach to problem solving and creating policy is I take an old chapter out of George Washington's leadership. George Washington had a great cabinet. You had Alexander Hamilton as Secretary of Treasury, you had Thomas Jefferson as Secretary of State, you had John Adams as your Vice President, Henry Knox as a Secretary of War, and you put all those people together, and Washington would let everyone talk, and he would listen to everyone's opinion, and at the end of the day, he would make a policy based on the best wisdom, collective wisdom of the men in the room. And that's how I always approach leading the city of Havre de Grace. I hire highly professional people to run my departments, and what we do is we get into a room together whenever there's an issue facing the city. I value everyone's opinion, everyone's judgment, and what I do is I filter out the things that we need, and then we come up together with a collective policy moving forward, and that's how we run the city. The city isn't run just by one individual person. It's run by the collective knowledge and experience of many. And that is my personal belief. What makes Havre de Grace so successful is we try to avoid pitfalls and errors by using the wisdom of those who've made those pitfalls and errors before and try to avoid them moving forward. So this government was created to serve the citizens, and that is the policy that we as a city government have, is the customer is always first. And so whenever the interaction, my expectations for the city staff is to be kind and courteous and polite to all citizens, and not only help citizens with their problems, but to follow up to make sure that their issue was addressed, and even education. A lot of times citizens will come to City Hall because they have questions about something they're not really quite sure about, maybe like a zoning question, or maybe they want to put an addition onto their house, and our expectation is not only just to work with the citizen, but to help educate the citizen. City Council is probably the most significant part of this government. They're the body that writes the laws and resolutions of the city. They're also the elected body that approves the budget that enables my administration to perform and carry out its duties throughout the 12 months of the year. My staff, when it comes to working with the city council, it's a very open door policy. Any council member can pop into a director's office and ask a question that would help educate the council member to make better decisions. And I believe in that. I believe in open communication. As one of the things I've learned as mayor, and the most important thing moving forward is always have good communication. And when your council members can talk to staff members and they understand the implications of certain decisions, you're going to get the best. You're going to get the best decisions made from your elected officials. I'm a history teacher. I teach 8th grade U.S. history, and almost every cool story in American history involves diversity. The word division means weakness, but diversity means strength. And in the city of Havre de Grace, we've always been a very diverse city. And diversity can be through gender, it can be through race, it can be through religion. And so the city of Havre de Grace has a great history of voting for Black Americans, voting for women on the city council, going all the way back to the 1970s. We are a very strong community that believes in the individual. Had an opportunity to appoint 3 people to council since I've been mayor in 2015. 2 of my appointments have been women to the council. Also, again, my police chief, my economic development director, my city attorney are all women. And so, like I say, if you really want to run your organization well and you really want to make the best decisions that's going to affect everyone in your community, you have to keep everyone in your community in mind when you make these decisions. And so we really try our best to predict the best possible outcomes we can. And how do you do that? By bringing everybody you can inside the circle to help you make the best decisions that you can make.
Okay, great. That was wonderful introduction from Mayor Bill Martin. Now, as part of the program, we're going to take a couple questions that have been submitted from our youth members. So right now I have Tania Scott. She's a graduate of Havre de Grace High School. She's currently attending Howard University, and she's going to ask a question of hers, as well as a question that was submitted by Kayla Adams, who's a 10th grade high school student at Havre de Grace High School. So T, can you ask those questions for us? And anyone on the panel is free to answer.
Yes, ma'am. Good evening, everyone. The first question I have for you all is, if I were interested in working for the city's administration, what career fields and areas of study do you recommend? Or what college majors are in high demand or designated credentials for city positions?
Okay. Do I have someone on the city staff wanting to answer that question? Go ahead, Councilman.
You can always take political science if you want to go to school and do it. Mayor Martin said one of the best things that you can do, become active in your local community, see the needs you have there, and you can base your education and gain your knowledge by working through the organizations, starting with the youth group. But you can do it through the church to become more active in your community. The more knowledge you have of your community, the more your knowledge will grow, the better you can assist and help the people in your community grow.
I'm going to jump right on what you just said, Councilmember Martin. And Mr. Shane Grimm is our director of planning. And I actually know he specifically went to a course of study for what he does. Shane, do you mind telling everybody what got you into planning and what kind of courses did you have to take in college?
Sure. So when I was in when I was in high school, I had a really great geography teacher that really inspired me to get into geography and planning. And I just really had a love of maps. So that led me to take geography and environmental planning at Towson University, and really learned a lot, and really have been able to use my degree and all facets of my degree every day in my job, especially with reading plans, doing environmental analysis, wetlands, floodplains, and things like that. So a lot of good courses in college to prepare me for that type of education, and also taking college courses towards a master's in public administration like Councilman Robertson. A lot of those courses are really good to learn about municipal government and how administrative law and things like that apply to everyday decisions in government. So can't say enough about, really figuring out what you want to do. If you want to do something in government, they're like political science, planning, certainly finance and things like that, and engineering are all good skills to have.
Go ahead, Councilman Zenner. Okay, Councilwoman.
I have to admit, Tania, I also thought I heard you say something about what would be some of the requirements for a commission, and I believe you're interested in architecture. Am I correct there?
Yes,
Am I
ma'am.
right? Yeah,
Yes,
okay. So for example, I'm the city liaison, the council liaison for the Historic Preservation Commission, and we actually have an architect on that commission as a member. We also have a research librarian. So the skill set is very different, but the architect is extremely important as we look at our heritage properties and see the value, and also recognize the differences in architecture. Is it mid-century modern? Is it Victorian? Is it colonial? Any number of those aspects of architecture so that you can categorize the time period and what was important in history at that time when those either those properties were built, or what was happening in the congregate area, like maybe it wasn't called a neighborhood back then, but that particular area where, and in Havre de Grace, we have the Havre de Grace Colored School, and there are pockets of properties that still exist that were occupied by African Americans. So that's an area that you can look at too. So you can combine history with the architecture and build a story in terms of how a city's developed, or what was happening historically at that time in the city. So I think, where you're heading with architecture, even though you don't have your degree yet, but you could certainly apply for a commission and be a young voice and use some of those skills that you're learning, or some of the things that you've learned, practice them in real time.
Great, thank you so much. Appreciate those answers. I do apologize. Actually, Kayla Adams is on, so she's going to go ahead and ask her question for us. Oh, Alicia, you got to unmute.
Okay, hi. Does the city offer student apprenticeship or internship programs?
Oh, Patrick, go ahead.
Okay, as far as internship programs go, the city is very open to internship programs. In fact, one of our current employees who takes care of legislative affairs, Adam Rybczynski, began as an intern working with the city. I think he was working with Carol Matheson back then, assisting in, I guess, as a clerk and some other duties for her. And he had a real love for politics. I'll let Adam speak for himself, but it migrated into a position which we call legislative affairs and marketing. And Adam is very instrumental now in what we do in keeping abreast of legislation that is in Annapolis. He can sometimes help dissect, get to the gist of what the legislation concerns itself with. And then it helps us in presenting our position, what we're for and what we're against, and in soliciting support from our delegation when they go down to speak. We've always looked at internships as it relates to, again, for the planning department, for finance. It depends on where we have that need, and if there's that interest outside of City Hall, people like yourself that would like to come in and work. I mean, and we structure schedules, be it part-time, X number of days a week, X number of hours per day, until a project or task is complete. So we're very open to internships and constantly, I don't want to say we're always open for it and always consider it whenever we have tasks to do that befalls us. because there's always plenty of work to get done.
Hey, can I just ask you, Patrick, can you maybe talk a little bit about how a student could apply, or what an age group that you might be looking for? Or is that just an announcement that would come out occasionally on an as-needed basis?
No, I think the best way would be anyone who is interested in becoming an intern should reach out to our HR. He is not on with us tonight, Chris Ritchie, or myself, or to any of the council for that matter. And make your interest known. For example, if you're in, we'll go back to Shane for a moment. If you're interested in planning or suburban or urban design, and laying out communities and what have you, make that known to us. We would then, if something comes along, we would certainly pull you in, or we may even, it may trigger a project that we had maybe considered before that's on the shelf. We may pull it off the shelf and say, man, we have someone that's interested or a go-getter. Let's turn them loose on this and see where it leads us. We've done that with some people as it relates to filing of old legislation, putting it away, which seems kind of mundane. But when you start to read the thoughts of our forefathers and foremothers, I guess I would, maybe if there's such a word, it again triggers interest and can lead you down a path that we just hadn't thought of before. It's part of my job is to exploit talent. So if you have an interest or a skill set and you would like to bring it to the city, if there's a way that I can utilize that to help achieve the mission that the mayor and the council has before us, we will certainly take you up on it.
Great, thank you. That's really good information to know. I know we have a lot of young people looking and trying to figure out careers and where, paths they need to take to get there. So I appreciate that advice. Right now, we're going to view a couple more videos from our current council. So we have Councilman Martin and Councilman Ringsacker's videos.
Good evening, and thank you for attending the Youth Commission Town Hall. For those of you that don't know me, my name is David Martin. I've lived in Maryland my entire life. I have been married to my wife, Deborah, for 41 years. We have one child, Christopher, and a daughter-in-law, Jessica, and two grandchildren, Finley Grace and Hayden Michael. When my wife and I decided to downsize, we searched throughout the state: Centerville, Annapolis, Ellicott City, Frederick, Catonsville, and Havre de Grace. The waterfront, historic charm, acceptance of diversity, and friendliness of residents in Havre de Grace made our decision to move very easy. We moved to Havre de Grace in 2012. In 2014, I began attending city council meetings regularly and addressing local community concerns. While I attended numerous council meetings, I learned of additional community concerns and decided I wanted to become more involved in this community. I've always been involved in the community. I've coached football for 17 years. I'm a certified soccer coach, and I coached that for 8 years. I was active in the Boy Scouts and in Cub Scouts for 8 years, where I was a Cub Master and an Assistant Scout Master. I've coached baseball in the rec program for Jarrettsville for 8 years. I was an equipment manager with the Falston Football League, as well as one of their head coaches for their 9/11 football team. So you can see I've had a lot of community involvement and a lot of community involvement with the youth. When I learned of the additional needs in the city, and I wanted to work with a common sense solutions, I spoke with former Mayor Wayne Dougherty, and he advised me if I wanted to make a difference, I couldn't remain in the audience, but had to be on this side of the dais. I spoke with then Council President Bill Martin, and he advised me that I should consider running for the City Council. His advice, that is what democracy is about. During these election times, you've seen the diversity and the adversity. Here in Havre de Grace, it's always been about what's best for the citizens of Havre de Grace, and that's special. And finally, Councilmember John Carreri, and again was advised to seek the city council seat. This is where Walt Disney came into play. His quote, "Think, believe, dream, dare." Those conversations made me think about being a city council member, that I could make a difference. I began to believe I could make a positive impact on the future of Havre de Grace. Next, the dream of being elected and working with others, members of the City Council, to keep Havre de Grace's historic charm, yet move into the 21st century. Finally, the dare. Filing a candidacy application with the support of my wife, I began my campaign and was elected. Over the last 5.5 years, I've worked with the administration and fellow council members to move Havre de Grace forward while keeping the historic charm. My focus has been on infrastructure, the water and sewer, and road repair, public safety, the support of the Susquehanna Hose Company, the Havre de Grace Police Department, and the Havre de Grace Ambulance Corps. Ethics, where we passed one of the first municipalities to pass an ethics code, economic development, and the environmental initiatives while maintaining a balanced budget. I support the cultural arts and park programs. My challenge to you as you grow older is look at that dream of Walt Disney. Think, believe, dream, and dare. And I hope to see members of this youth commission up here one day, replacing me with your new and exciting ideas. Have a great evening and thank you for coming out.
Hi, I'm Councilman Jim Ringsocker. I was elected to Havre de Grace City Council May 2018. I ran for city council because I've lived all over the world, grew up in a military family, and the best place I've ever lived was Havre de Grace. And when I went to high school here, I remember everybody couldn't wait to get out of Havre de Grace. And that hurt me because I loved Havre de Grace, and I've been everywhere, and I couldn't imagine a better place. And so I wanted Havre de Grace to be a place that my kids were proud to be from. And as a city council person, I've had the ability to help pass a lot of legislation for sustainable growth and development while still respecting property rights. And I really felt that we needed people up here on the dais to support Havre de Grace, support the citizens and the businesses and tourism, and make Havre de Grace what it's become today.
Great. Definitely appreciate that insight on what motivated you all to run and why you love your city. Right now, I have a question from Alicia Henson. She's one of our adult members on the Youth Commission.
Hi. The playground at Titans Park was recently upgraded with new equipment for younger children. A lot of our teenagers have been known to hang out there, as there's no other spaces in town to go. Does the city have plans to increase the recreation options for teenagers?
Yes, I will go ahead and answer that question. Thank you. Great question. I've often said that the best measure of a city's success is you have to say to yourself, do kids like growing up in the city? One of the things I've known for a long time is there's very limited things for kids to do as far as just absolute recreation. You know, you can walk the promenade so many times, you can hang out at Titans Park so many times, but at the end of the day, you know, what else is there to do? So one of the things that this administration is going to focus on in the next 2 years is the northern part of Havre de Grace. Now think about where McElhenney Park is and where the Lock House is. We are about to receive from the power company that owns a lot of that land along the river. We're about to receive a great amount of land from them. And one of the things we want to do is turn it into an area of great outdoor recreation. Fix up the trails. We've already put bridges in place to over Lily Run to connect to Joe K. Loop. We want to increase the playground equipment. We've even talked about my chief of staff and director of administration and I were out there the other day talking about a disc golf course, just because there's so many little grassy areas that go through the woods and stuff. We definitely want to bring more access to the water, kids to fish, kids to launch kayaks, playgrounds, walking, hiking, mountain biking. So it's definitely a top priority of this administration. We are very aware of the opportunities that kids have for recreation. I mean, of course, we do, across the street from the high school or police station, high school, there's basketball courts and tennis courts, but it's always something we're going to work on and always something that we're going to try to improve. Because like I say, the best measure of your city, if it's successful, is you have to ask yourself, do kids like to grow up here? Thank you.
I'd like to add one to that. The Bears got a lot of good points, but the one thing I want the Youth Commission to keep in mind is we were really excited when the Youth Commission was formed. And we want to hear what you have to say. I mean, it's not about us coming up with the ideas, because I've always said one of my favorite sayings is no one's smart as all of us. And we want to hear from the youth. I mean, what would the youth like to see in Havre de Grace, and see if there's some way that we can find a way to make that happen so that you enjoy staying here. You enjoy, living here and growing up here, and we meet your expectations. So I want to hear what the youth have to say on what they like to see in the city.
Tracy, that in the group. One of the other things that the mayor started to touch on but didn't is the new Living Shoreline. That is something that, again, is going to add more pathways and walkways, and it's going to develop a lot of the whole shoreline of Havre de Grace, but a lot of it is going to be the North Park area. As the chair of the Parks and Harbor, I'm looking forward to people coming forward and saying, this is what we need. We do an inventory every year of the parks to see what we can do to improve, whether it's adding benches, picnic tables, but we need the community to tell us what they want. For us just to assume, we've made a huge mistake. So as Council President said, please let us know, let the youth get involved and tell us. Their guidance is what will make a success of our future plans.
So really great point. One of the things that it made me think of is just if there's focus groups that are being formed to discuss these recreation opportunities, that we make sure to include the young people in them. Also, if the city could maybe set up some type of feedback or a survey link where we could get feedback and solicit it from the young people, because in some cases it's hard for us to get them to come to meetings that are formal, like a council meeting, even maybe a commission meeting. However, they may be willing to go online if we have that option available to them to get some feedback. So maybe even social media campaign or something on the city website to help get some of that feedback. And we'd definitely love to help you do that. We appreciate that. Did I miss anyone else? I'm sorry. Okay. All right. Right now, we'll go through a couple more videos then. We have Council President Glenn, as well as Councilwoman Boyer's video.
For those that don't know me, I'm Dave Glenn, and I currently serve as the City Council President. I'm often asked, why did I run for City Council? The answer is fairly simple. I wanted to give back in some small way to the city I am so proud to call home. As a proud graduate of Havre de Grace High School, I embraced the motto, enter to learn and leave to serve. When I graduated from Towson University, I returned home and looked for ways to give back to my community. I've coached Little League baseball and softball for 30 plus years. When my kids were small, I served as the PTA president. When one of my Little League ball players was diagnosed with cancer, I got involved with the Children's Miracle Network to raise money for kids with cancer. And in addition, when the football field was in dire need of repairs, I got involved with the James Harris Stadium Committee to build a complex that our kids could be proud of. Back in 2012, I heard all the horror stories about the safety and security issues at the school, about the technological shortcomings and the infrastructure concerns that our kids had to face on a daily basis. I determined that maybe if I ran for City Council, I could be a voice and be a champion for a replacement school for the Havre de Grace community. So when I first got elected, I went to a Harford County Council meeting, and I spoke for a replacement school. That night, President Billy Boniface told me a replacement school was not on anybody's radar screen. My response, hold that thought, because it soon will be. We have a great story to tell, and we're going to tell it. So we rallied the troops, the Warrior Proud movement, and most importantly, the kids, to tell that story. We went to countless Harford County Council meetings. We went to Board of Education meetings. We didn't miss an opportunity to attend a meeting to tell our story. We wrote letters to elected officials. We wanted to get the word out. And through the concerted efforts of the entire community, and most importantly, you, the students, our voices were heard. I'm so proud to report that our new replacement school is now ready for occupancy as soon as the school will open up on a full-time basis. The takeaway from all of this is the people who care can and do make a difference. You just have to make sure your voices were heard. And in this particular case, you did make that difference. And in the end, the true benefactors will be the students, who will be the benefit of enhanced opportunities for educational success. My takeaway is to stay involved. I'm so proud that you guys are involved in the Youth Commission. Stay involved, stay engaged. We want to hear what you have to say. Warrior proud, Grace on top.
Hi, I'm Casey Boyer. About 7 years ago, I got involved with a group of concerned Havre de Grace parents and community members who were advocating for a new middle and high school. Well, as you can see, we made it happen. I was then asked by Mayor Martin to fulfill the term of a person who is leaving the City Council. 2 elections later, I'm still one of your representatives on City Council. When asked, why do you run? Well, it's easy. It's because of my love of this city and everyone who lives here. I want to make sure that all of our citizens have the opportunity to be treated fairly and that they can prosper. When I look around Havre de Grace, I don't just see the buildings and the landmarks. I see an incredible place to live, forged around the value of community. Havre de Grace has so much to offer, and everyone is always so willing to share. That's what makes Havre de Grace so special, and that's why I serve, because it's worth preserving.
Really wonderful to hear about how this high school came about, the new high school. So now we will take a couple questions from William Howard Jr., who's on the Youth Commission. He's one of our adult members.
Hello, good evening, everybody. I do have 2 questions to ask. The first question I have is, are students permitted to join other city commissions besides the Youth Commission? And if so, what is the process to join?
Do we have a response? I guess the question is, so are all commissions open for student members?
My sound wasn't on. I didn't even realize. What was the question?
Are students permitted to join other city commissions besides the Youth Commission? And if so, what is the process to join?
I'll go ahead and answer that since I'm the one that appoints. Sure, absolutely. My theory is this: anyone who has a desire to join a commission and serve can just reach out and contact my office. I'd love to have a conversation. I'm not sure that now every commission is actually in the city charter or city code. I'm not sure if there's age limit or restrictions for certain ones. I know, for example, like on Tourism Advisory Board, there's a makeup of like you have to have one person in the hotel business, one person in the restaurant business, one person in the hospitality business. But there may be commissions that don't have any age restriction. There's tree commission, there's the election board, things like that. So anyone that is interested in serving on any other commission other than the Youth Commission, just reach out to my office and love to have a conversation.
I'd like to add one other comment to that. I was once told by a former commander that if I ever remembered one thing, remember this: the truth always changes. So where the current charter may have age restrictions. If I know of students that want to get involved, we would look to maybe changing that charter. If you look at the Board of Education, they have a student representative on the Board of Education. I think it's important to hear what the students have to say. So let's say it's street and traffic safety, and somebody has a burning desire to be on street and traffic safety. If there's an age limitation, then maybe we'll change the charter to add a student representative to that, because we want to hear what you guys have to say. I think it's important that the students have a voice, and you have an invaluable voice. And so I'm not going to let that hold us back. If we have an interest from the students, and we'll use the Youth Commission as a prime example to get us that word, we'll look to maybe changing the charter to add student representatives on selected commissions so that you can get involved, and more importantly, we can hear what you have to say.
Thank you for that. The next question that I have, are there ways that young people of Havre de Grace can become more connected with the happenings of town besides being involved in the city council meetings and legislative processes?
Hey, well, by happenings of town, do you mean like the events that are going on, or helping to plan the events that are going on?
It could be events that are going on, or like was just expressed, if there are things that are going on in different commissions, that there are certain needs that students could give voice to. How can there be more engagement from youth? How can that bridge be closed a little bit more?
One of the things when you talk about the youth involvement, it's when they come out on First Fridays, when they see us, when you see the council members, the mayor, chief of staff, the chief of police, and the police officers, our school resource officers, we need to have that line of communication where they're not afraid to come up to us and say, hey, what about, what if, can we do something? Can we help? Again, I look for and I want to see people more involved. I didn't get involved in politics until I was in my late 50s. And like I said, so everybody makes a difference. Everybody makes a change. And the biggest thing we need is communication, because my ideas and my thoughts are different than younger people's ideas and thoughts. But if they're not shared, I don't know. And as David Glenn said, none of us is as smart as all of us. And we need to get the people not to be afraid. So when they see us in town, we have the shirts to sit there. And like I said, you can see them. They have our names on them. They have our positions on them. Talk to us. Reach out. One of the things that I loved about Havre de Grace and made me move here is the fact that everybody was friendly. Nobody was afraid to say hi. When I walked up to somebody and said, hi, what about, what if? People talk to me. And that's what we need to see. And like I said, if the youth want to be involved, they have to be involved, and they just have to reach out and talk to us. You'll see Bill Martin walking the streets, Jimmy, Carolyn, Casey, all of us walk the streets of Havre de Grace. We're not afraid, and we love to be approached. Please have them. And part of it is just the adults telling them, go ask. So like I said, have them come out, have them look for us, talk to us. We will, and we want to talk to the youth.
William, to tell you the truth, I think it's already happening. Like I said, I've coached Little League Baseball for 30 plus years, and I've always talked to the kids, pick their ideas of, what they wanted. I know at one point in time, we tried an ice skating rink in the city, at wintertime. Didn't really, go over as well as we thought, but somebody gave us the idea and we moved forward with it to give it a shot. And more importantly, like I said, I heard all the horror stories about the school. The kids were telling me on a daily basis at baseball practice and baseball games, the challenges they had to face on a daily basis. And it was because of their input, we got the ball rolling to push for a new school. And like I said, at that time, when we first moved forward, it wasn't on anybody's radar screen. They had no desire to put a new school in Havre de Grace. But after hearing what the kids had to say, when we got them involved at county council meetings and board of education meetings, and to hear them talk, I knew we had a home run. I knew we were going to nail this, because nobody could look them in the eye and tell them no. Because once you heard their stories time and time again, they had to come to one conclusion: we have to find a way to make it happen, and we did. And that's in large part to what the students did at those meetings, and the voices were finally heard, and I applaud them for that.
Yeah, Will, this is, was that question from a student, or was that question from you?
It was partly from me and partly from someone who submitted that question. I kind of merged them together.
Roger that. Yeah, that's kind of what the angst of the Youth Commission is to act as a conduit to funnel information up from the youth, and then, from the city level back down again. So we're us are the liaisons for that. And I know that you're in a very good situation there with the Boys and Girls Club. So, you got your ear to the ground, and if there's stuff that the young folks around you, are expressing, don't hesitate to send that, up to myself, to the other council members, to the mayor, etc. And, we can put our heads together. And as council president said, we're all smarter than the single, or I'm just trying to rephrase it because I can't.
You can get it out, Jason. You can get it out.
Not all of us are as smart as one of us, or something like that.
Nobody
anyway.
As smart as all of us.
There we go.
William, this is George. One of the other things I want to encourage and make sure everybody understands, if you look at our website or using any of the social media, there is a contact point for the city, and there are no age restrictions or filters. So anybody that has an idea or an interest, go to the website and let it be known, and we will channel it to the right people that can try to make it happen.
Absolutely.
And William, this is Erica Quisenberry. I'm the Director of Economic Development for the City of Havre de Grace, but I also worked for the Boys and Girls Club at one time as the Director of Development for them, and as a tutor in a number of programs. So as you're working in the Boys and Girls Club and you're coming into programs like Passport to Manhood, or doing some of the other programs that are really just intrinsic to the whole message of Boys and Girls Club, you've got a resource in people at City Hall and on some of the commissions on the opposite side of the coin, who can come in and be a part of that kind of mentor relationship, sharing our background, our stories of what we do and how we do things. That could be a benefit to the students who are going to the Boys and Girls Club. And the other aspect of it is, there's a mutual sharing as we're looking at all of the different changes in technology that we're using for promotion. People who are going to the Boys and Girls Club in that wonderful age group of that 6 to 18 for membership can help us better understand what we should be doing to reach out to an audience that we can't reach out to using an old technology that we may have used. So it's a very good mutual relationship to work with. And having worked on both sides of the spectrum with a Boys and Girls Club organization, and now on the opposite side working in government, there's a lot of mutual sharing that can be done to benefit both of us.
Thank you. I really appreciate all the feedback.
Okay, and we have one more video that we're going to show from Councilmember Zinner. So we'll go ahead and do that.
Hello, I'm Councilmember Carolyn Zinner, and I'm very pleased to be with you this evening. What I wanted to talk about is what drove me to want to be on the council and serve the citizens of Havre de Grace. In my career as a healthcare worker, I've always been wanting to help people and look after my coworkers and things like that. And any of you who know healthcare workers, you probably know that they all share the same personality traits and desire to be of assistance. So in 2016, when Upper Chesapeake announced that they no longer were going to support a hospital in Havre de Grace, I started to attend town hall meetings and also council meetings to express my concerns about this decision. I also joined a group called Neighbors for a Healthy Havre de Grace, who supported that position and was also concerned about the loss of jobs that many of our local residents fulfill at the hospital. So in 2018, I had an opportunity to run for election on the council, and I came in fourth. And in our system, you need to be in the top third. So with that, I decided, well, I would probably run again next year. And in the meantime, I would learn how to register voters, and I would attend First Fridays and other events to support registering voters. In the meantime, also then in the fall, there became a seat available on the council, and I spoke to the mayor regarding that seat, and eventually he determined that I was a good fit for council and that he would appoint me to the seat. And then in May of 2019, I was able to defend my seat on council. So I see this as an opportunity, just as an extension of the career I always had in healthcare, to be able to be of service and to be able to help the citizenry here. And also the fact that we are a nonpartisan group. We are able to focus not on politics, but on what is needed in the community to make it more livable, more equitable, embrace the diversity of our community, and to help it move forward. And that is why I ran for council, and why I continue to want to serve on the council, and why I think it's an honor to be here, and appreciate all my council members and the mayor for the work that they do to make our lives better. Thank you.
Hey, everybody. I did not record a video ahead of time. It was just assumed that I could say a few words, but my fellow council members have very eloquently expressed the reasons why they chose to serve, and I don't think that mine are any different. It just comes from a place of having a heart for people, having a heart for where you live, and wanting the community that you live in to be, that much better for yourself, your neighbors, and your future generations. I think, for me, it was, I was in the military, still am a reservist, and, I'd done that. I signed up for the Army to basically pay for my college, but, through that experience, I really understood a little bit of what selfless service means, and I got like a taste for that, and I just wanted to continue to serve. And I figured, as my grandfather always said, there's no place better to start serving your fellow people than in your own neighborhood. So that's why I'm here. And, I'm very thankful for the experience, and it's frustrating sometimes. I'm not going to lie to you. You have all the best ideas and intentions in the world, but sometimes, that meets friction, and sometimes that friction's good because, other people can contribute to what you have in mind. Sometimes that friction can kind of halt what your trajectory is for the time being, and you have to learn to overcome that. So it's not an easy thing to deal with. It's not an easy path, especially for the council folks that are very much in the public eye. Sometimes we receive a lot of ire. Folks don't always appreciate what we're doing or what the vision is at large, and that can kind of weigh on you a little bit, and that's something I wasn't really prepared for. But at the end of the day, I'm really glad to be here, and I'm really glad to get to know all of the people, all these little faces that I'm seeing on my computer screen. The majority of y'all I wouldn't know without this experience. So I'm really thankful for that.
Great. Thank you. I really appreciate you sharing that with us. And I just want to check, did we get Michaela Hops or Sebastian to join us? I see that we have a caller that's not identified. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and ask their question then for, okay, so we had Michaela Hops, Havre de Grace Middle School, grade 6. And the question was, how does the city work to keep our city clean? What tips or advice could you give to kids that are willing to help out to make the town cleaner and better?
Well, I'll start off. One of the things that we're very fortunate in Havre de Grace is we have a CAT organization. And the CAT stands for Citizens Against Trash. And they get out every Saturday and they walk the streets and they pick up trash, and they really, really make the city of Havre de Grace a place that we're really proud of. I mean, and even there's some really dedicated individuals. You'll see them walking on other days other than Saturday. I mean, it could be during the week. It could be in the evenings when they have free time. And they get out in their own neighborhoods. It's just not only downtown Havre de Grace, it's in their neighborhoods. And in the past, we've had Boy Scout troops that also get involved where they get out and try to clean up the area and make it someplace that we all can be proud of. So that's one big step in the right direction. And of moving forward and trying to keep the city of Havre de Grace clean.
Hey, Tracy. A good example, and Mayor Martin spoke at it at the council meeting, is the fact that we have those dumpster days. We want to keep the city clean, and the city goes and tries to find ways to have citizens dispose of the bulk items they can't. The dedication of our DPW team, when you look at the way they clean up and they decorate for every occasion they can, this is a true hallmark city. You sit there and you look and you see it, and it's just the dedication of the employees here, the dedication of the administrative staff, the dedication of our police department. They're there, their heart is in our city, and you see it every day. The Cat Club's there, you've got the green team, you've got the trees, you've got the Historic Society. They stay on top of everything to make sure, and it's all individual committees and individual people that reach out in their areas of expertise. And some of it, like I said, it's just the fact that they come out and they get involved, and that's what makes this city so special, the involvement of all the people.
And I've got one more question here. It comes from Sebastian Reynolds at Havre de Grace Middle School, grade 6. This is very good for the times that we're in right now. What has the city done to help our community face the pandemic, and what can kids do to help with the pandemic?
I'll go ahead and start that one off. A lot of the things that the city does with in accordance to the pandemic are usually coming down from Annapolis from the governor. The governor issues executive orders, and so counties and municipalities need to be in compliance. Those are generally the things like, restaurant capacity, shopping capacity, things like that, stay-at-home orders. But, the things we do control are our public lands, our parks, our playgrounds, our events, our city events. One of the things, we did early on in the COVID pandemic back in March and April was we shut down the playground just to make sure that kids would be safe. It's sometimes kids don't always understand how germs are spread. We didn't want to shut the playground down, but we thought it was in the best interest. But we did keep the parks open. We kept the promenade open. We made the promenade one way, hoping that we could keep people separate with some social distancing. But the philosophy of this administration is people in Havre de Grace are, I think, different than anywhere else. I mean, I lived here for a long time, and the people in Havre de Grace are very responsible citizens. We're a very tight community, and everybody takes responsibility for one another. Havre de Grace is the kind of city where you don't have to shut everything down. Like people know to keep social distancing, wash your hand, wear a face mask. And so here we go again with another surge amongst us, especially in Harford County, with a lot higher numbers than we experienced in the spring. And so I have no doubt that the citizens of Havre de Grace will be 100% behind whatever it takes to keep your friends, your family, and your loved ones safe. But, other things too, though, we have a workforce that we have to take care of as well, because the most important thing that City Hall does is provide services. Now, sometimes those services aren't things you might think about. I mean, we don't necessarily go out and pick up the trash, but we make sure that the trash is provided. We pay for the trash collection. When you pick up a phone because you're in a life-threatening situation, we need to make sure that the police respond. If your house is on fire or someone that you love has a heart attack, the fire shows up or the ambulance corps shows up. A huge thing we do all the time is make sure that we take water from the river and we treat it into good drinking water. And then when you flush it down a toilet, it has a place to go and gets treated. These are things we can't afford to have COVID infiltrate our system, our workforce, because these are services we have to provide every single day. So not only do we need to worry about the citizens, take in mind of the citizens that they're taking care of one another, but we have to also take care of our workforce. And so unfortunately, we had to go to resort to things such as city council meetings being live streamed instead of letting the general public in. We had to shut down the lobby where people would pay their water bill or taxes, and we encourage people to use online bill payment methods. But so again, our job with the COVID pandemic is to just keep a watchful eye on the city properties and the city area, and make sure that people are respectful of one another with the three important things, which is social distancing, hand washing, and face mask wearing. But the biggest thing that we have to do is make sure that this government continues to provide services on a daily basis. So I'm sure there's other things that if anybody from the staff wants to jump in, or a council member, I'm sure there's other things you can talk about.
I just got one thing to add. It's funny you brought that up. I want to share a cute story. When we first started having to wear masks, I remember going to the local grocery store, and on this particular occasion, I forgot and left my mask in the car. And as I'm walking up to go into Weiss, there's one of my Little League ball players that said, "Coach Dave, where's your mask?" I said, "Good point." And I went back to get my mask and put it on. And the key to that story is, it's not only on the police to enforce the mask rule. I mean, it's on all of us, whether it's an adult, whether it's a policeman, or more importantly, the students. I mean, this particular student hit home because he made me aware that I wasn't wearing my mask. And so it's just the little things like that that can go a long way in helping any enforcement and keeping us safe.
So I want to just jump on real quick. I was on a teleconference earlier this afternoon. I'm on the Maryland Healthcare Commission as well. And one of the things that was brought up is as we're getting closer and closer to having a vaccine, we as a community need to start encouraging people to be open-minded for the vaccine. And that means talking about it, addressing any fears people have in regards to getting the vaccine, making sure the right information is out there. So if you want to know what you as students can do, youth within our community, you have a huge impact. You can make sure that the correct information is out there, that there's no misinformation, no lies about the vaccine. You can talk to your parents about it, encourage them, talk to your grandparents about it. It's very important that we get as many people as possible vaccinated, because otherwise we're just going to have another version of COVID coming out. It's just going to adapt and make its way through our community all over again. So again, one thing that you can do for the future to help educate everyone and make sure that they know that the vaccine is safe, and highly encourage everyone to do it. You could really save a lot of lives by doing that.
And I just want to add one quick thing, Tracy. I forgot to say this, but the city did go on a massive educational marketing campaign back in September. I forgot to say that. Adam Rosinski's probably mad at me right now. I didn't say that, but anyway. So yeah, we actually have these characters we made up from a local artist about 4 years ago. We have Rachel the Rockfish and Charlie the Crab, Doug the Decoy, Larry the Lighthouse. So we use these characters because we feel they're more relatable to kids than just some generic municipal message. But we bought thousands of drink coasters that had like Rachel the Rockfish on it that told people to wear their face mask and social distance. And we gave them to our local restaurants so people could put drinks on. We made up refrigerator magnets, bottle openers, bumper stickers. Yep, Jeff Thompson has one right there on the screen. So we handed those out everywhere. And more importantly, we handed out hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of face masks. So we handed out these to a lot of people. So that's another thing the city did for COVID is not just, again, protect the city employees so we can provide services and make sure people are safe. But another thing too is big believer is try to educate the public as well and just remind people. And it starts again, with kids. When kids have good habits, they grow up to be adults with good habits.
Okay, it looks like, I think we have another student question, potentially.
Hi, I'm Sydney Ringsocker, and you all probably know me as Jimmy Ringsocker's daughter.
That's a question.
And I have a question. How does the city manage its financials?
How do they keep?
How do they
What method
keep
do
track
they use? Yeah.
of their financials?
What was the method that the city uses to track how much money the city spends?
This is George. The city has got a dual track, well, it's not a dual track, but it's a process whereby the administration, the mayor and his department decide what it is going to be the focus for the upcoming year. And what they think in terms of dollars they're going to need for that and how they're going to raise that money. And that's rolled all together into a document that's called the budget each year. And that budget then is presented to the council. And the council listens to what the mayor's and the administration's focuses are, where our priorities are. And then they input some that they've heard from the citizens and the residents of what some things that they'd like to have that they either don't believe is in there or isn't adequately addressed, or just a new idea like you've heard a lot of times tonight in different ideas. And we take and we massage that basically spending plan, which is not anything more than a much bigger version of your household budget, like when you tried to figure out how you're going to spend your allowance. And we do the exact same things. What is the most important? Where should we be putting our money? And then at least every 2 weeks, we try to educate the council and the administration and the citizens on how we're doing against that budget so that they can see for themselves how it's working. And we go and we do this at every council meeting. We give an update on how the funds are doing and what we have to look forward to, what may be coming up that we're expecting, like you've heard the Holly Jolly Christmas themes earlier tonight. These are events and stuff. And we just try to keep them up to date. And that you're able to, again, the website keeps a graphical representation of how we're doing against these spending plans, but it's really no different than how you do it at home.
Okay, that answer your question, Sid? Okay. Do we have any additional questions from the Youth Commission members or the students online?
All right. Well, first of all, I'd like to thank the members of the Youth Commission for suggesting this and for being present tonight. Alicia Henson, Robin Scott, Mr. Howard, and I'm missing it. Well, of course, Tracy Robertson and T. Thank you all for being on and being present. All of the council members, my fellow council members, thank you very much for taking the time to, number one, do the videos, number two, to be here and present and very active and vocal this evening. I really appreciate that. Mr. Mayor, of course, as always, thank you for helping us with this and, for your insight and your expertise and being able to answer all these questions so well. And our finance director, Mr. Horty, thank you very much, sir. The man that made tonight possible, our IT support staff, Jeff Thompson, our director of administration, Patrick Seipolt, whom you've heard from this evening, chief of staff, Steve Gamatoria, Mr. Adam Rybczynski, which is kind of the, I hate to say minister of propaganda, but the media guy, social media guy, and the quasi-public policy guy. So thank you for all that you do and for helping us with this. Our Director of Economic Development, Erica Quisenberry, whom you heard from this evening, always a wealth of knowledge and insight and a great resource. Will, as she had mentioned earlier today. Chief, always good to see you, Chief. Always smiling. Probably one of the most pleasant people I know. Wears that uniform. So thank you. And Director Shane Grimm, Director of Planning. Thank you, sir, for being on and making yourself available this evening, my friend.
Okay.
Yeah, if I could just say real quick, Tracy.
Yes, sir. Go ahead.
I just want to thank the Youth Commission for all that you've done so far. I'm so proud to actually participate in this event tonight. And I also want to thank Alicia and Tracy. We both voted on your reappointments last night. So you can press into service for some more terms. So I want to thank you all for your service. And this is such a great commission that's getting better and better every year. I want to thank Jason for all the work you've done too with this commission. So keep up the good work. And I'm very honored and proud to be part of this Zoom meeting tonight. Thank you for having me.
Thank you again. I just want to echo that we definitely appreciate all your participation. I think our young people learned a lot of opportunities that are available to them, that they can reach out to our city council, our city administrators to get that assistance and to have their voice heard. So we really appreciate your support going forward. Thank you all, and good night, everyone.